Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Experience Beyond podcast. In today's episode, we are challenging one of the most used metrics in customer experience and exploring what truly drives meaningful impact. Designing CX across borders, lessons from 60 countries on culture-driven customer experience. I'm your host, Anand Nigam, and to unpack this powerful topic, I'm honored to be joined by Anne Golding, a global CX thought leader, trainer, author, and the first certified training provider of CCXP accreditation. Ian is the CEO and founder of Customer Experience Consultancy Limited, where he has helped businesses in over 60 countries deploy customer experience programs rooted in strategy, measurement, and people. With deep expertise across retail, financial services, telecom, logistics, and pharma, Ian has been trusted advisor to some of the world's most recognized brands. He is also served on inaugural board of Customer Experience Professionals Association and continues to mentor professionals globally in achieving their CCXP credentials. And let's not forget, he is the author of Customer What? A must-read practical guide to building CX program that actually works. So whether you are a CX leader, a data enthusiast, or just someone tired of all the vanity metrics, this episode will give you clarity, direction, and some honest truth. Welcome, Ian.
And thank you so much. It's lovely for you to introduce me in such a nice way. And if anyone's interested, next week I will visit my 63rd country. So I don't slow down, I speed up. So next week I will visit for the first time Uganda, to add to my list of African countries. And there is a growing customer experience community in Uganda, just to demonstrate that there literally are no borders to what we're doing.
And thank you, Ian, for accepting to be part of this podcast, Experience Beyond podcast. We got a very, very interesting and important topic, which is based on the amount of travel that you have been doing, designing CX across borders. Lessons from 63 countries on culture-driven customer experience. Not 60, I'll modify that, 63 countries. Just go back and look at before CX was even a formal field. What first drew you to customer experience, and what keeps you here, excited and so energized?
Well, they're very good questions, and I am asked these questions quite a lot, actually. And like many people who find themselves working in the field of customer experience, we almost come into doing this without knowing that we're coming into doing this. At least people of my generation, that was the case. My background actually goes back to the 90s, when I started my career in process improvement. So really what I have become today is as a result of working with traditional process improvement methodology, primarily Six Sigma, and also Lean in the 90s with GE. And General Electric used to be one of the largest organizations in the world, no longer is. You're sitting in the US right now. Still, if you speak to anyone, I think there was a statistic at one point that 90% of all homes in the world had something in them that were manufactured by GE in some way. It was when I started working at GE in the 90s that I was first introduced to the term customer centricity. And obviously I'd never heard that before. And it's fascinating to this day in 2025, people still don't really understand what customer centricity is. But it's not new, it's not brand new. What is new is the discipline. And I strongly believe that there are many people in this world who naturally, almost intuitively, are wired to operate for the good of the organizations that they work with and for. And I don't mean that to sound evangelical, it's just that their purpose is to deliver value to shareholders, colleagues, and customers. And they will do whatever they can to enable that to happen. It's not about them, it's about the organization. And I am one of those people. I'm wired that way. And so from the very beginning, when I was taught process improvement methodology that was all about doing the right thing for the customer, I mean, it was just common sense. This is wonderful. This is brilliant. And the rest is history. So I will say to people that GE literally changed my working life. But it was when I became head of group customer experience for an online retailer in the UK that I really started to turn what I thought was the right thing into an approach, a methodology that delivered measurable change. But it was only in 2011, when the Customer Experience Professionals Association was created, that I realised that I wasn't on my own. There are many times where it feels as a customer experience professional it's just you, but I had this wonderful realisation that there were thousands of people around the world doing the same as me. And from that point on, as well as continuing to develop my specialism, I do whatever I can to support others in doing the same.
Awesome. I mean, it's not just a career that you choose, but it's your passion also, which I can see.
Yeah, vocation. I would say it's a vocation because it's hard. You know yourself how hard it is to change the nature of the way organizations think and act. You're not always thanked for it. You're often belittled for it. You don't get the support you need. And that's why if you want glamour, if you want loads of money thrown at you, if you want, lots of pats on the back, that this is not the profession for you. That this is something that if you really genuinely want to make a difference, the benefit will come. But, it cannot primarily be about us. It has to primarily be about the organizations that we're working with. Then the benefit comes afterwards.
Absolutely. I've known you for more than 5 years now, and hope I'm not being biased, but what a fantastic journey. I really like the community that you are building and the passion that you are creating in this CX field is fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I'm going to Uganda, actually, because people will say, how are they going to pay for you to get? It's not about money. For me, this has to be about doing to others what people did with me. Inspire them, give them that sense of belief that they can make this happen. It's not always about money, but there aren't many people that will do that. And I don't mean to sound as though I'm a martyr, but if it is your vocation, you believe that the more people that do it, the more people that know how to do it, that the better place the world will be. And as I'm sure you're going to start questioning me, there are a lot of things in a experience management perspective that are being done so badly still, all these years later, that we've got to keep sharing knowledge to change people's perceptions.
Absolutely. I'm happy to get into the questioning, but something I would like to add that I've met a lot of CX professionals, have done a lot of podcasts with very well-known, very well-spoken people in this field. But what is very unique about you is the diversity that you carry with you. 63 plus countries, that was not diverse enough. You have also worked across multiple sectors. That you will be traveling to Middle East for in leisure and entertainment sector. You are traveling to so many places. Given the amount of diversity that you have got exposure to, what universal truth about customer experience has emerged to you, which cuts across boundaries?
I guess a great question. In addition to the industries you mentioned, I've also done a lot in the public sector, as well as the private sector. So it really does span almost everything. And the reality, so I think reality is the best word for people to get their head around, because there is a nirvana that people are aiming for, but to get to the nirvana, that you've got to understand the reality. And the reality is that there is a recognition, I would say, in both the public and private sector, that delivering experiences that people remember for the right reason is a good thing. Okay, so that's the first reality. The second reality is that still, in the main, whether it be public or private sector, there is a lack of ability or lack of understanding to demonstrate what the impact of that is. Okay, so people will talk about return on investment and how hard it is to calculate the return on investment. People are still failing to effectively demonstrate what the impact, the true measurable impact of being an experience-led organization is. And there are reasons for that, which I won't say now, but reasons that you may question me about as we go forward in this conversation. So that leads to the third reality. The third reality being, if we know that this is important, but we don't know what the impact is, there are other things we need to focus on where we can see the impact. So in other words, I think it has led to far too few sustaining the focus on customer experience anywhere near long enough to be able to truly understand what the impact is. Because when they don't see the impact quickly enough, they move on to something else. And typically what they move on to is they revert back to just being sales-led, to being task-led, because you can see the impact of sales immediately. You know, what you can't see is the impact of developing long-term relationships immediately. And because there's a lack of understanding of where the other elements of impact come from, being sales-led is simple. Being customer-led takes time. And we live in a very short-term, reactive world, arguably more short-term and reactive than ever before, post-COVID. There is no time anymore. We haven't got time to wait. We need it now. And improving experiences does not happen now. It happens over time. And unless organizations are prepared to give it the time it needs, it's never going to work.
I absolutely agree with you, Jan. In fact, I've come across similar situation and similar expectations across different leaders that I've been speaking to. They're all struggling, and I think it's one of the biggest challenge today to how to show the impact of CX, link the impact of CX with results. Given this situation, the leadership, they want results fast. So with your experience and your exposure, how do you help them slow down to the design first strategy? That, you know, it's a long process. It's not something which happen today, immediately. How do you actually engage them and make them to slow down and believe in the process? Then there is.
Great question. And typically my answer to that question is very simple. But again, you know, I like to describe these things in easily digestible terms. But there are two categories of financial return for improving experiences. The first, as we've just discussed, is revenue generation. Revenue generation is the long-term financial return for improving the customer experience. It comes as a result of developing better, stronger, deeper relationships with customers over time. That doesn't happen in 6 months. That could be 2 years, 5 years, longer. The issue is that that's what most organizations are aiming for immediately. We want to see that now, because the mindset is shifting from sales-led to customer-led. but they still want to see an impact on the sales line. So we need to see that going up. But when it doesn't go up quickly enough, that's the issue. So this is why it's critical that we focus on the other category, because the other category is the short to medium term financial return. That comes through cost reduction and cost avoidance. By eliminating things that are going wrong in the customer journey, there is the opportunity to save money immediately. I am not saying cost cutting. Okay, this is not the same thing as cost cutting. Cost cutting is easy. Just fire people, you save money immediately. But if you cut cost without understanding the experience, you will make the experience worse. What I'm saying is that if you know what the experience looks like and you know what's going wrong in that experience, if you can eliminate those things, address the root cause of those issues, you will deliver an impact instantly. And this is one of the reasons why so many people like to talk to me about the influence of AI. Obviously something very important to you guys, because AI should be, what I say, manna from heaven for organizations, because there are so many ways that AI can help to firstly identify where those opportunities are and to eliminate them. But are we utilizing AI in the right way to do that? So this is why I prefer businesses to think about impact. I don't really like the expression return on investment. What is the impact? What is the financial impact going to be? Return on investment, almost, it sounds as though it's about making money. Impact is about delivering a financial effect from doing this. And so it's that short to medium term that we need to be really focused on.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your insights on this. One of the biggest challenge across the industry is to see the impact of customer experience.
Absolutely.
There is another challenge which I would like to discuss with you, which is challenging how we measure. And you introduced the idea of an operational measure or operational measure index, which is OMI, right?
Yes.
Alongside, very common measures like NPS and CSAT. So how do you ensure organizations, they measure what actually matters instead of just doing some KPIs?
I mean, this is literally the $1 million question. When I talk about robust customer experience measurement, ultimately we need to be capturing, listening to, and acting on 3 voices of measurement. Voice of the customer, as you mentioned, voice of the employee, which is a slightly different perspective, and voice of the process, which is where that operational measures thing sits. The problem is, and you heard me say this 5 years ago, but I've actually been saying this for probably 15 years. Most organizations are measuring the customer experience badly. And so the inability to determine impact is largely down to the fact that they're not measuring the right thing. So you're not going to know what the impact is if you're not measuring the right thing. And then all you've got is the sales line to rely on. Now, why are people not measuring the right thing? Well, the biggest problem that the discipline of customer experience faces is that most VOC programs, this is a very bold statement, are not fit for purpose. Most organizations are not capturing customer feedback in a way that is giving them a truthful representation of the facts. What they are capturing is a score, and they're capturing a score that is most likely not representative of the end-to-end customer journey, and not representative of all customers who go through that journey. So as a result, they're jumping to entirely the wrong conclusion. This is compounded by the approach to measuring VOC being now, I would argue, completely out of date. Human beings no longer want to complete surveys. The traditional way to measure voice of the customer is through surveys, either email surveys, SMS surveys, or even voice surveys. But there has been a growing wave of apathy towards this over the last 5 to 10 years, because we are bombarded as consumers by surveys on a daily basis. So, I mean, if all you did was complete surveys, you wouldn't be able to eat. It's like we don't do it anymore. So we're reaching a tipping point, I think, a tipping point where if organisations want to truly deliver tangible change, measurable change, they need to completely rethink the way they're gathering facts, because the facts they're gathering at the moment are not correct. And this is unfortunately driven by obsession with metrics. What unfortunately has happened is that we've moved into a world where the score is more important than the mechanism. And so, to a degree, leadership teams don't care about anything other than the score. But the score actually is the least important thing. But what's far more important than the score is knowing what to do with it. So there is a huge issue, because the challenge for our profession is, if you're a customer experience professional or a head of customer experience, do you have the courage to walk into your board of directors and tell them that the score's wrong? It's a massive political hot potato. But it's going to have to be addressed, because these organisations are paying huge sums of money for these surveys and for the platforms they're using but they might as well be throwing the money down the drain. It might sound like I'm being hugely dramatic, but unfortunately this is the reality. And unless organisations face up to it, we will get to a point where more and more businesses, whether private or public sector, come to the conclusion that this NPS thing is a waste of time. In other words, customer experience is a waste of time. No, it isn't. It just has to be done in the right way.
Absolutely. And I mean, XEBO as one of the tool for gathering that customer feedback, completely agree with you. What I liked about your description was to measure with purpose and not to measure for a score. So
Absolutely.
Which is creating surveys which will collect fact from customers, use that score.
You see, and I think the beauty of technology like yours and the beauty of AI in general is that it allows us to gather facts in ways that we couldn't do manually, because voice of the customer is just that. It's voice of the customer, but that voice is displayed in multiple ways. We're hearing the customer voice every single day, but are we utilizing that? No. We're relying on surveys that are completed after the event by a tiny proportion of the people who actually had the experience, and we're drawing a conclusion based on it. Doesn't make any sense. What about all of the unsolicited data left in reviews that are posted on X and Facebook and Instagram? And what about the voice calls that come into contact centres that, again, AI can interpret what that call is saying and also combine that with the other sources? That is the future. And, does that mean that we need to move away from scores? No. I think it's still very important to have a metric, but I think the way we get to that score needs to be based on a number of sources of information that allow what you're getting to be representative.
Absolutely. More holistic, and that's what you advocate.
Absolutely.
So you, in your operational measurement index, you talked about there is a CX component, but there is also an employee experience component.
Yes.
So in your talks.
Well, let me just I'll conclude that. So, voice of the process, first of all, is all about having a measurable understanding of how capable customer-facing processes are at delivering touch points in the customer journey. This is, again, where there is a massive gap in organizations' capability or adoption of competency, because they are not measuring customer-facing processes in alignment with the customer journey. Customer experience is all about cause and effect, what you do and the way your customer feels about what you do. And if you can create a measurable understanding of those two things, that is where you can truly see what it is that you're doing that's having the greatest negative impact on customer perception and, as a result, financial performance. Voice of the employee is something that, again, is very misunderstood. Very few organizations do it. Many who think they're doing it, what they're actually doing is measuring employee engagement, which is very important, but that's not what we mean in the context of customer experience. In the context of customer experience, voice of the employee is about capturing a measurable understanding of employee perception of your organization's ability to deliver the customer journey. VOC is all about customer perception of your ability to deliver the journey. VOE is exactly the same thing, but from the employee's perspective. Because the principle here is that the way your people feel about the experience should not be radically different to the way your customers feel. If employees tell you that we're amazing, we're the best company in the world, we're just incredible, but your customers tell you a very different story, which is quite common in a B2B, actually. Because in a B2B, we're great, our products are great, we're fantastic. But when you speak to customers, they tell you, oh, no, you're not great at all. That is evidence that your people are too far removed from the reality of knowing what it's like to be a customer, okay? If, when you're asking employees of their perception, employee perception is much lower than customer perception, that is actually evidence that the way you're measuring VOC is not an accurate representation of the truth. If most organizations today did a VOE survey as I'm describing it, the score would be much lower than the NPS score they're reporting. Because employees know the reality, customers, it's not representative. So they're getting an artificially high score. So VOE is what I call a check and balance for VOC. It's not difficult to do, but timing is very important when it comes to VOE. Because obviously, if there are lots of things happening in an organization politically, going and asking employees what they think about the experience might not necessarily be the right thing to do. So timing is important. But this is why I say robust measurement is about all three of those voices together. In reality, there's that word again, most are only measuring VOC, but they're measuring it incorrectly. So, measurement is a massive problem.
So if I'm understanding it correctly, so when we speak about voice of employees, you are advocating from what they believe, how happy the customers are. That's more.
No.
Okay.
What I mean is, so if I use the example of XEBO, okay? If I sent a survey tomorrow to XEBO's employees saying, how likely are you to recommend XEBO to another business? What are they likely to say? So basically directly replicating the way that you are questioning your customers with your employees. That the secret to it is to do it completely anonymously and separately to anything else. Now, the likelihood is that every XEBO employee is going to say yes. I'd be surprised if they didn't, but who knows? But the point is that the score for your employees, if it is much higher than the score for your customers, that will tell me as an independent specialist that maybe your employees don't really know what it's like to be a customer. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Because they should be broadly aligned. The way your people feel should be broadly aligned.
The gap should be
exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, very well connected how, in a CX world, when we look at everything, the voice of customer and voice of employee, how they can coexist and correlate.
That's right. But the employee has been missing for all of these years. It's only very recently that there's been talk about employee experience. I say very recently, in relative terms, recently. But employee experience is still in its very, very early stages. There are painfully few examples of good employee experience management in a way. There's no formal recognized approach to it. And unfortunately, most organizations where I've seen it, it's being led by HR and predominantly focusing on the onboarding of new employees. That there is a lack of understanding that employee experience, in the same way that customer experience is about the end-to-end relationship that an employee has with their organization. It's not just at the beginning, but it's the ongoing management of their career as well.
Awesome. No, in fact, just last conversation which I was having with Shep Hyken, he also connected it very well, and he gave an example on how Ritz-Carlton is engaging its employees to make that connection about customers. So, which is
right. And I agree with Shep. In my opinion, still to this day, the Ritz-Carlton are one of, if not the most customer-centric organisations in the world. But they've known from the beginning that they cannot deliver great experiences without their people. So it's truly ingrained in their culture. Most organizations that we know weren't created that way. So, it's how do you transform their thinking to enable that to happen?
Awesome. Oh, thank you for that connection. It's I think we all know the importance of both, but making that connections and making people believe that connection can exist which is important.
Absolutely.
Now, let's think about the future ahead. Fast forward to, say, 2030. What does the ideal CX leader look like in that world in 2030? What skills, mindsets, philosophies will define who will thrive? And even technology, you can add technology. What skills, mindset, technology, philosophy?
I think it's a great question. Now, 5 years ago, so 2020, people were regularly asking me, what's next? What's going to come after customer experience? And my response was always, well, there will always be customer experience. It's not going to go away. But in 2025, you're the first person to ask me that question, actually. And my response is that and this is my opinion, but I strongly believe going forward that we need to potentially change the narrative a little bit. So I think you will increasingly start to hear people talking not just about customer experience, but because of what we've just been discussing, there is a definitive need to bring the employee much more into the conversation. And I think rather than thinking about CX and EX as separate things, there will be a growing trend of people talking about experience management. And actually, I wasn't sure about that 2 years ago, but I'm now very confident about that. I think experience encompasses everything. So it isn't just about customer, it's about employee as well. But it's the word management that I think is very important. What we've done over the last 15 years is create visibility of customer experience. Great. But to a degree, we've created so much visibility and so much theory that people get the theory, but they still don't get how to operationalize the theory. That's my issue. And so I think what we're going to see is more people starting to talk about experience management and actually putting the management into practice, which is where the operationalizing of it comes from. But to do that, what we've got to see is a simplification of the approach to doing it. Too many have spent already a huge amount of money gathering theory that has achieved nothing, mapping beautiful process maps that have achieved nothing, spending huge amounts on VOC platforms that are not achieving what they think. So that's got to change. If CEOs and boards of directors, shareholders think, have we got to start again? We've got a problem here. So this is why, again, I think AI and the evolution of AI is very exciting, but only if it's used in the right way. If it's used for the benefit of the shareholder, the customer, and the colleague together. If it's just seen as a way of cutting cost, that actually won't work. That will make experiences worse. Already now you can see applications of customer journeys being developed using AI. With data operational. Do you need a 2-day workshop to map a customer journey? Not necessarily. Do you need it culturally to encourage cross-functional collaboration? Maybe. But how do you then manage a static sheet of paper stuck on a wall? You can't. AI can. How do you create customer personas? Well, historically, that was done manually. We need lots of... AI can do it in 8 seconds. You can probably tell me even quicker. Yeah. So I think what we'll see in 2030, hopefully, are organizations who don't just see customer experience as a nice theory, but they've actually operationalized it so it becomes the way that they work. So it's ingrained into their decision making, and that they're not just making decisions based on sales, but they're combining that with the data that they're getting from the customer journey to understand what they need to continually improve to develop longer term relationships with customers. So what I see is sort of a big continuous improvement engine where that customer journey is constantly updating itself, addressing all of the issues, stripping out unnecessary costs, so organizations can spend valuable time relationship building. That's rather than selling, relationship building. That's what I'm hoping we'll see by 2030.
Oh, point very well made. In fact, I've already started seeing those changes. Like if I was supposed to do a customer journey map about 5 years back, the entire organization would be spending hours and hours, like days and weeks in developing that customer journey map. So instead of managing relationship or customer experience or total experience, the focus was in creation of tools, creation of journeys instead of relationships.
But what are you going to do with it? And this I think is the key. We can no longer do things for the sake of it. We've got to be able to adopt these capabilities and competencies so we can then manage them effectively to deliver the impact the organization wants. What people have been failing to do is to manage. So they've been putting it in but not managing it, and that's why it's not delivering the impact. So you probably 5 years ago heard me preaching about customer journey management, but by 2030, I hope that I don't have to preach about customer journey management anymore, because that's just the way organizations operate. But they're able to do it because AI is supporting their understanding of where the things are in that journey that need to be addressed.
Awesome. And this brings us to the conclusion of our session. Thank you for sharing those insightful thoughts, your experiences and all. Now we have got a very light session, which is the rapid fire round.
This is the bit I have to worry about. Yeah.
No, you don't have to worry about it. It's very fun. The list of questions, they are randomly created and shared with me, and I will throw it at you. You give anything which is spontaneously coming to your mind. There's nothing right.
Are you sure about that? Yeah.
It's fun. We are having fun. Yeah.
As long as it's clean. Okay, fine.
With your permission, can I get started?
Go for it.
First country you ever delivered a CX keynote in?
It was actually the UAE, Abu Dhabi.
Nice. The CX metric you think gets too much hype?
MPS.
Not surprising. One industry that surprised you with its CX maturity?
That's an interesting question. I would say, can I name a company?
Yeah, one industry or a company.
So Tata Steel. I think Tata as an organization, very impressive.
Your go-to CX principle, no matter the culture?
Giving your people time to think.
An example of a CX mistake that you see too often.
Removing choice from customers for the benefit of the organization. So you can't phone us anymore. You can only use our chatbot, for example.
Yeah, definitely. If CX were a sport, what sport would it be?
Without question, the decathlon. Either that or an Ironman.
Very, very interesting, because my thought, the moment I read this question, I saw this question for the first time, it was like chess, game of chess.
Well, yeah. You see, and the more I think about it, I know it's supposed to be quick fire, but probably in current circumstances, an England versus India test match in cricket.
Hopefully India wins the next one. Thank you so much, Ian. It was very insightful, and it was also fun. Great time, very insightful conversation. From cultural blind spots in CX metrics to designing experiences that truly resonate across borders. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks.
You have shared very hard-earned wisdom from all your 60 or 60 plus countries that you have traveled to and experienced several initiatives. In today's episode, we gave you a fresh perspective on global CX through Ian Golding. Be sure to follow and subscribe to Experience Beyond podcast, your choice for bold ideas in CX, AI, and customer transformation. Thanks again to Ian for inspiring us to design with cultural intelligence. Until next time, I am Anand Nigam. Keep creating experiences that connect. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks.